What's up, YouTube fragrance family? Tommy with Studio Sense here, coming at you with another review. And this video is about a fragrance that was, I'll call it a recent release, a recent new release. Kind of give you guys a heads up of a really great fragrance if you're in the market for a date night fragrance. Date night scents are typically those scents that are a little bit darker, they last a little bit longer, but they are more intimate. So when we come back, we're gonna take a closer look at Dolce & Gabbana, the One Luminous Night. That and more is coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. When this was first released, it was released at, I believe, Harrods was the place that you could get it online. And I waited too long, wasn't able to get it. However, I borrowed it from Ash of Gent Scents. I did a first impressions video and somehow lost that, somehow deleted it. So finally, some places are starting to get this fragrance back. It's really better that it worked out this way because it kind of afforded me the opportunity to get a better grasp of the scope of the fragrance in terms of its performance, its wearability, when and where and why you would want to wear it. Welcome to this full review of Dolce & Gabbana, the One Luminous Night. So we're gonna do a pretty quick review. It will be a little bit more in-depth though than my first impressions because I do want to give you guys an idea of performance of this fragrance. Because one thing, or one challenge I'll say that the One DNA has always kind of met with a little bit of trepidation is the challenge of performance. Now, everyone pretty much loves the smell, and there are several flankers of the One DNA, this being the second to latest. The latest is actually the One Gold, which I recently talked about. And I'll actually leave a link above here if you want to click on that and check that out. That was my new presentation series talking about fragrances that had a gold presentation, and the One Gold obviously does. But the difference between the latest release of the One Gold and the One Luminous Night, this is an exclusive or limited edition release. And that was why it was really hard to find. I think, again, Harrods was one of the few retailers that carried it online, and I missed the opportunity to get it when it was originally launched earlier this year. These releases typically tend to be cyclical. What that means, if you miss out on getting this when it was originally launched, just wait a little bit of time. You have to keep checking to finally find a location that has a bit of them. If you're interested in getting this fragrance after this review, you might want to check out the link or links in the description below. So what about the One Luminous Night is different from its other flankers or predecessors? The difference between those, however, and the ones that you're now seeing on your screen, these ones that you're seeing are all exclusive or limited edition releases. So what that means is they're launched for a very short period of time and you want to grab them up. So let's talk a little bit about the fragrance, the One Luminous Night. In terms of the presentation, it's a beautiful bottle. The color scheme is basically gold and dark blue, but it's kind of a luminescent blue instead of being like a midnight or a navy blue. Your lid is a gold stopper, and then of course in Arabic Luminous Night, and that is in gold, as well as exclusive edition Dolce & Gabbana, the One is also in that the One font in gold. So it's a great looking presentation. What about the notes in the fragrance? Let's talk a little bit about that note breakdown. The One Luminous Night features top notes of basil, bergamot, and black pepper, with heart notes of date, sage, and geranium, resting on a base of sandalwood, frankincense, and amber. So just like the other limited edition releases, this is going to the dark side. So it's going to be like a darker, more oriental, slightly spicy fragrance, but then it doesn't have that extreme spice to it, you know, something like that has saffron, nutmeg, and cinnamon in it. It's not that kind of spice. It's a little bit darker, more intense, denser kind of spice, if that makes sense. It adds a little bit of weight to the fragrance. Now, this one isn't what I would term a playful fragrance at all. It is all about the serious and the seductive. So just like the OG, the One DNA, that is the Eau de Parfum version, it's very seductive. It's very date night rich. Definitely oriented towards intimacy. This is oriented towards intimacy. What does it smell like? Of course, it opens up with a very spicy basil and black pepper, opening with a bit of a contrast with that bergamot there. In the heart of the fragrance is where you get the lasting notes that really create the difference in this and the other exclusive or limited edition releases in terms of aromatic smell and aroma. and that is the date, the sage, and the geranium. It's a great trio, and it really lasts throughout the life of the fragrance that just add to the ambiance, and that is sandalwood, frankincense, and amber that just add to the density, the depth of the fragrance, and its kind of overall serious tone. But primarily, the fragrant note in this that lasts the longest and that is pushed forward by the supportive notes that I've mentioned in the base is that date note. Now, I've never been a real lover of date, whether it's the actual food date or date and a fragrance, date night, date oriented fragrance, but the smell of dates is usually kind of more of a mincemeat mealy kind of smell without much sweetness to it. That is if you were to take that note alone. However, when you combine it with frankincense and amber, it's a much more well-balanced blended fragrance. You can definitely smell the 1DNA influence in this one, but that date note takes it to a darker, more serious, more somber, yet extremely seductive area, and that's where it stays. That's where it stayed. Now, about the performance of this, you're going to immediately fall in love with it when you smell it. It's going to smell great. It's going to linger in the air for a while. But I will say that after about the 5th or 6th hour, it becomes somewhat of a skin scent. Now, it is an eau de parfum concentration, and that's what we come to expect from eau de parfums, is that they smell great. They do linger in the air because they are a little bit heavier. They contain a little bit more concentration of oils than do eau de toilettes or eau de colognes. They do sit closer to the skin and become skin scents, usually well after the fact of them, creating a nice sillage trail. So that's the case with this one. However, I would say I get a good strong 5 to 6 hours out of it, which isn't really bad for a modern day fragrance and for a modern eau de parfum. That combination of frankincense, amber, and date is a lingering warmth on the skin that is supremely seductive. So it's an extremely ingratiating fragrance when it comes to intimacy, and that's what makes it a great date night fragrance. Because it's a limited or exclusive edition, it's a little bit on the expensive side, but to me, I think it's one of the more enjoyable out of the limited edition releases, and it's probably the best looking bottle that they've ever released. In terms of wearing it casually, absolutely. It's a very versatile fragrance, I think. It's definitely one that's going to be more oriented towards intimacy, small gatherings, small intimate gatherings. If you're going to be wearing it to the mall or something like that, not a ton of people are probably going to smell it on you. It's probably about a good 1.5 feet. As a sillage bubble or trail, that's not an extreme, nimbus around you. So it's not going to be it's definitely attention getting, it's definitely compliment pulling, but again, only in intimate gatherings where people are kind of close together. So it's perfect for that setting. You can definitely wear it in an upscale setting. It does contain that kind of more refined DNA, the exclusive edition 1 DNA. So it's good for upscale settings as well. So it's really wherever and whenever you want to wear it. But again, primarily best utilized in intimate settings, specifically AKA the date night. One thing I love about this fragrance, it has kind of a glowy, warm, blue feeling about it. And I don't mean blue as in the blue genre of fragrance. It's just got the way that it carries itself is just, it's almost like being deep undersea and you see a luminous fish that swims by, that kind of warm, glowing, feeling, that sense of awe and wonder. It kind of perpetuates that to the degree that a fragrance can. And that's what I really like about this. It's a little bit different than the others in the limited edition release line. Well guys, that puts a wrap on my review of Dolce & Gabbana The One Luminous Night. I think it's probably the best out of the line in terms of the limited edition releases, in terms of how it smells and how you can utilize it, its versatility. And I never thought that I would be saying that about a fragrance with the note of date in it, because I'm not a big lover of date in fragrances or food, but I really like it in this one. Luminous Night is a fantastic release and definitely well worth the money. Thanks so much for stopping by and checking out today's review, and as always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.